All right, so you should be able to see my screen too, which is basically going to be my Delphian, my dashboard. So on my dashboard, I just have it customized to the way, that I kind of like to look at things, the different states, state 1, state 2, state 8. You can customize your dashboard, however you like to do within the platform. So Josh had mentioned a couple things. We talked about changing the days to expire when you're trying to do an option strategy. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And there's a question in the chat that I want to cover as well. So if we go into stocks, like Josh mentioned, you can use this screener quick tool if you want to go into the screener section. But typically I just go into stocks, screener, and then that will pull up my screener section, custom defaults, plus my studies and my daily alerts. We can see I'm on the current day, end of day data for yesterday. So these are all the high probability trades within the studies that had populated last night for trading today. I'm going to look out the breakout ones. That's one of the ones I'm going to go over here in a little bit. But when I click on breakout, we can see Duke Energy is there, and then Yum Brands is there. I haven't tested this any further than just by looking at it today. So you're kind of going along with what I would be doing if I was wanting to change that particular parameter for the trading strategy. So we can see Duke Energy, $97 stock. You can see the profit factor 2.60, win percentage, almost 89 win percentage, 9 total trades. I typically like to see that a little bit more if I can, like the 16, 20s, things like that. But, a win percentage versus that total sample size is pretty fair in my opinion. And then like Josh mentioned, I use a couple other parameters, myself to decide if I'm actually going to trade a stock based on the studies or any backtests that I've done. One, like you mentioned, namely market environment, market movement, things that's going on within the market, plus the symbol as well. If it's a stock that I know, and then the chart looks pretty good, it looks pretty bullish or bearish, whichever way I'm planning to place the trade. I'll take a couple other things into factor as well. But you might see a lot on these lists that are symbols that you have no idea what they are. So, if the win percentage, based on the backtest meets your parameters and it looks like it's a great trade, I do trade a lot of those. And I think those are going to be some of the ones that sneak by a lot of people because, they've never seen that stock. So they just kind of disregard that symbol. But I think you can find some really good trades in areas like that. So, don't be exclusive by only trading some of the other symbols that but definitely if you see like an Apple or a Microsoft or Facebook, if you see some of those come across, and a lot of people I think have a better handle on those, so that might give you more inclination to trade those as well, which is good. So yeah, if we look at Duke, we got a couple quick links here. I think Josh had showed if we just click on this little X here, we can see the actual trade that was recommended based on the parameters that we set forth within the study. So again, all of these are customizable to you as a trader as well. But if I want to look a little bit further into the backtest, I can click on this quick link backtest button here. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull up an auto backtest window for me. I can let the system select the particular name for that backtest if I want it to do so. It'll do the symbol, the date, and a timestamp for both that and the trade rule. You can change them also if you want to. So it just depends on how you want to do that. If it's Duke and I know it's today's date, I might take out the time and just type in breakout because it is using that breakout signal. Excuse me, breakout. I still can't spell it, sorry. Breakout. And then this one, we're using a long call because I selected the long call. So I might just place long call there just so I know later in time if I ever want to come back to this trade in the backtest, I can actually know what I'm looking at. A Duke breakout plus Duke November long call. If I hit backtest, it's going to start running the selection. Here's where we can actually enter in further information if we want. Trade rule and entry exit dates are there for us. The group is typically standard. It just saves it within the platform for you. Like Josh mentioned, I always use contracts 1 because then I know if the option contract or the risk amount is too low, I can obviously double or add more contracts to make that risk amount what is suitable for me. You can do dollar per trade. The only negative that I found to that is if you want to test something such as Amazon or you want to test something such as Duke. Obviously Duke being $100, Amazon being way more expensive, if you only say $1,000, you might exclude some of those Amazon options that you might want to look at. Not saying that you would want to trade them, but at least you want to get those in your results so you can analyze them further if you deem necessary. So I always use contracts as one. Cumulative amount, I just leave as no. You can change that if you want. Hit backtest, and it's going to run the backtest. It says run trades. It's running the trades for me. So I expect, it tells you that it's running them. It's in yellow, so that means that that run is basically working within the background. If I hit refresh, it might populate. So it populates for me. So I expect these results here, so 89%, 8 winners, 1 loser, to be pretty much a mirror image of what I'm looking at right here. And we do see that 2.60, 2.57, 89%, 8 for 1. Kind of gives you all the different details that you might want to look at. Plus you can see here, it tells you I use the long call strategy with certain profit and stop loss parameters. So I can click on the run and actually look specifically at the individual trades if I want to do so, which are down here below. But what Josh had mentioned was we can see here 23 days until I'm in these trades on average for 23 days. So if I know that some of these, you can see a lot of these hit their profit target within, I would say, what are we looking at? Out of the 9, right? 8 of them hit their profit target. So I might want to let these run, but just to show you how that sample would work, if I click on my trade rule, that's going to give me the ability to trade or change all of the different parameters within my long call strategy that the studies auto-populated for me. So if I know my long calls are going a little too far in time and I don't want them to go to expiration, I can come in here, click on my stops, and I can say, hey, I want to stop this trade after a certain number of days, or I want to exit 10 days prior to expiration. So I could say something like, let me get out of this trade 10 days before expiration. I don't think many are hitting it that far, but we'll look to see if that does any changes for us. If I leave all the other parameters the same, then I'll go into the backtest. But this is where you would want to change if you wanted to change your profit scenario, or you didn't like the 100% stop loss, or you didn't like the strike selection model. You could always change these different parameters based on your individual goals and requirements. So I'm just going to change exit 10 days prior to expiration. If I hit backtest, everything else has stayed the same except I changed that one option, expiration, exit. If I hit refresh, so we'll see it really didn't do much of a difference there. Average number of days is the same. You can see that it didn't change much, but let me change one more thing just to kind of show you how the system works real quick, and you can look at that. So instead of changing that stops, and I want to exit X number of days before expiration, let's just say if I wanted to stop after 5 trading days, this is going to skew the results quite a bit. Nothing that I would typically want to do or that I can think of why I'd want to do that, but just to give you a sample, since that other one really didn't make too much of a change. So now we can see, I said stop after that number of days. You can see days in trade 4. It changes my win percentage dramatically, my winners and losers as well. So profit and loss per day is a lot more, but needless to say, I've dropped in my profit factor, things like that. So just wanted to show you real quick, it is customizable on your trading strategies. So, the strategies that Josh and myself and Ashok have set up for the members to use within the platform isn't going to be the perfect scenario for every trader, but we give you just a starting point of what you can start with, and then it's kind of up to you to expand upon that. So the question within, does anybody have any questions on that particular segment right now? Let's see. I see.
Dave had an extensive question. I think, Dave, we can go into that in the weekly meeting.
Okay. All right. So we'll cover that in our weekly meeting. So what I wanted to show is there was a question regarding, being able to test these studies that we have on individual symbols. So a Microsoft or an Apple is a good stock that you'd like to trade, that you're very bullish on that stock. Can you test these bullish signals on that particular stock and get those results? And then whenever those particular indicators or signals come together for Microsoft, can you then put that alert in there and trade it on your own? You can definitely do that. You can set up alerts. The alerts come in. But what I want to show you is a back test that I've already performed and show you how I can sort out the results on that back test and show you the results for each individual symbol within that stock list. So this button up here, this little play button, is my back test button. If I click on that, it's going to pull up all the back tests that I've done in the past. There's tons that I've done, 1,362 of them or so. But there's one particular that I just saw that I want to look at. It's this FANG State 1 and a MACD signal. I think we've done a webinar on this one in the past, maybe last year. FANG stocks is a basket of 5 stocks: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. So a pretty small list of stocks, but instead of being 5, there could be 500 there. It just depends on how much testing that you want to actually do. If I click on report, the report's going to show me my run results for that particular entry exit date that I created using the long call strategy that we talked about. Run 1's long call strategy. You can see 85% win rate, 4.01 profit factor. We talked about the ROR per day, 1.76% ROR per day. Pretty nice. Now you can see the bull puts above that. Obviously the bull put profit's a little bit less, but again, my risk is a little bit less as well. So you take that for what it's worth. But what you can do is, if I want to look at the long call and I know I tested these 5 stocks, so, okay, well, I know there's 5 stocks in that $60,000 profit, but did one stock perform better than the other, or do they all perform the same? If I click on my run 1, that's going to pull up all of the runs. It's going to pull up all of the trades for all 5 of those stocks, and there's 115 different trades here. If I want to click on this little X here by run 1, it's going to show me, it's going to group them by state. Now, my trade entry is based on state 1, so they all should be state 1, but I can look by symbol, and then it's going to break down all of the symbols for me with their each individual result. So really quickly, kind of similar to an Excel spreadsheet, if I only wanted to look at this based on profit factor, I could click on profit factor, and then it takes Amazon to the top because it has the highest profit factor. Just happens that it actually has the highest win percentage, 95% win percentage, and then so on and so forth. So I can see each symbol and how they perform with this particular back test, and then I know that, maybe I only want to trade this whenever Amazon comes about, but maybe my risk for Amazon's a little bit too high, so maybe I only want to trade it when Apple comes about because my risk is below 1,000, or average risk, excuse me. So you can sort it that way. I can sort by year. If I hit group by year, then it's going to break it down by year and show me how did each of these strategies perform in each of the different years all the way back to 2007. I don't think I completed the run. I don't think I completed this back test for 2020, so that's why we're showing this here, but I can't guarantee that, but that's kind of what that possibly shows me. So, but you can group it by year. Grade essentially is a fundamental analysis tool that Ashok has developed within the platform to rate different stocks based on a grade A, B, C, and D. So this is showing you based on that particular grade performance. Obviously, not obviously, but A is going to be your highest grade, and then they do go by numbers. So there is a number that goes with that grade as well. So I just wanted to show you that since that was up there. So, but yeah, you can do symbols. So if there was 100 symbols in here, it would have the 100 symbols listed based on that, and you could obviously sort it by symbol, profit factor, so on. And then you can also come here and export it to Excel if you wanted to do that. So any questions on that? And that can be done with any back test that you do. You should be able to kind of run that same analysis, and it's individual runs. So each run is going to be individual to a particular strategy. So you want to make sure you're selecting on a particular run, clicking on that, and that's going to open that up for you. All right, so if there's no questions on that, I'll get back to the other portion and go through the remainder of the studies. And just a side note too, there are a lot of studies that we are going over today. So not all the studies are going to be applicable to your type of trading. So really going on the website, looking at our resources page and reading through them again to see if there's some signals in there that match, your creative ideas of the way you want to trade. Or you can actually add signals on top of those studies. So that's another thing. If you say, well, I like, state modeling, and I like your correlation to the SPX, but maybe I want to add one more indicator on top of that. And you can definitely do that. We're just giving you the basis of what to work from, and you can expand upon that, or contact Josh and myself, and we can help you expand on that within the backtesting functionality of the platform. So